ask you something, Greg. I have never asked you this before, but one time we had a school fish program where you used to come along and do practical demonstrations, and then you walked down to the creek and you poured in a crate pot and had a crab. Now, I know we were 40 kilometres, you were 40 kilometres away from the team meeting, and I just want to know, Greg, did you put that crab there the night before? I'll tell you why I asked, because I thought, what a great place to go and put a crab pot in, and I've been back there a dozen times and I've put nothing.
Yeah, well, you just don't know what sort of boat you used.
Oh, yeah.
No, I must admit, I did go down a little bit early and set it all up, but I wanted to make it really good for the kids.
We're here to launch your book. I want to tell you about the book. I was reading this the other day, and my very, very best friend called around home and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm reading this book. And he said, what's it about? And I gave him a little brief. And I did say to him, this book paints a picture in your mind from page 1 and to the very last page of this book. Now, only good books do that. What inspired you to do this, Greg?
Well, there was quite a few reasons, and probably the main reason was that I'm getting a bit long in the tooth, and I wanted to do these stories while they were still fresh in my mind. And yeah, it was pretty. Some of them were funny, and some of them were a bit scary, and we wanted to do a mix. And plus, I talked about it for a long time, but never really got down to doing it. And I'd written notes down and done a few audio tapes and things like that. And I don't know when we finally decided to start, but my wife and my daughter were a massive help. And without them, the books would be still in the notes and the video, audio tape stage. But it was funny, when my wife and I were at the start of writing the book, she said to me one day, she said, you never ever told me about some of these stories. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, probably a good reason why I didn't tell you. Because I thought, I still think that fishing's dangerous, and she'll want me to go back bricklaying. And I thought, I can't have that because I love fishing. And then sort of, then there's another part of it too, where I was so inexperienced with, net fishing. I started off net fishing first, and I'd only been with a couple of guys before, and I've never had worked on my own, setting nets, and I didn't know much about anything really. And when I got into these I call them sticky situations, I just thought that's part of fishing, and I lived, and so I'd be back out there that night or the next day doing even my, the one that I had the biggest scare of my life, where I thought I was going to die. 5 hours after that, I was back setting nets again, and I never went home for about 5 days, till we filled the box up with fish. And when I got home, I don't even think I told my wife what had happened, so it was, because really I just thought fishing had its dangers, and you just had to put up with it. And another reason probably was that I'd like to pass on these stories to my kids and their kids and their sort of generations to come, because I think a lot of fishermen like me that never bothered telling anyone the stories or didn't write them down, and when those guys would go, no one ever hears about them. And it would have been the same with mine. If I had to write this book, we had to write this book, all these stories, well, there's a few of the stories my family was involved in, and when I lost my boat, I had to get a new boat, so there was a few people knew about those couple of stories, but most of the ones that were in that book, no one knew about them except me, so that was one of the reasons, that I really wanted to get that book done.
Greg, you've had over 40 years experience of this. Just share with us what you've done and what you like best. And when we finish that, just reflect on time gone by, what you've learned now, what you should put into practice when you first start in your fishing career, that'd be really handy. I mean, it's handy. I mean, we're talking about boats, we're talking about weather, we're talking about. I mean, I was going fishing earlier this week, and it blew its guts out.
Yeah.
Now, that's not what the forecast was. Over to you, Greg.
Yeah, well, a lot of people used to joke about me and they'd say, oh, Second doesn't go fishing unless the trees are horizontal on the beachfront. You know, but I always find somewhere to go even in the rough weather, because I just love fishing. But getting back to the different fishing that I did start off just net fishing and chasing barramundi.
Is that hard work?
Oh, I didn't think it was that hard, but people that come with me, so I disagree. But it used to be just net fishing for barramundi and grunter and blue salmon. And back those days, we used to be able to sell the shark too, the small shark.
Yeah.
And then I did some crabbing, which I still do now, and I love doing. And then there was, I did a couple of years at the line fishing at the Great Barrier Reef, catching coral trout and sweetlip and all those reef fish and Spanish mackerel. So I did a couple of years doing that. And then we used to go bean trawling, where we only had a small boat, like 15-foot boat, and was to pull a 5 metre bar with like a sock tied to it, and you drag that along in the shallow water and you'd catch all the prawns. And my daughter used to come with me and help me sort them, because once you caught them in the sock, you used to have to pull it into the boat, tip it out on a sorting tray, and then get your prawns out and you know, and discard any rubbish. And there was times there would be sea snakes slizzing around on the sorting tray, and other guys, other fishermen would be coming past, and we'd grab the snake by the tail and throw it out. Well, it's just a bit of fun. And then we did another thing called ring net, and where we'd have a spotter plane up to find where the biggest bunches of fish were, and the spotted mackerel are a funny sort of fish. They get in really big schools, and they lay over on their side, and it shines, and it looks like a mirror in the water. So if you look at it, you can see it from the boat at times, if you stand up high in the boat. But if you're in a plane, it's just looking down at a mirror. And whoever was up in the plane, sometimes I went up in the plane, and other times we'd have someone up there and they'd radio back to us, and we know which school to ring. So that was good fun. And now really all I do is chase mud crabs, and we chase a fish called black jewfish, and it's
that's a relatively new market, isn't it?
Yes, and it's all line fishing, and it's really good fun. And some of my videos that I put on YouTube of catching those big jewies and that. But yeah, so I've done a lot of different sorts of fishing, and I've forgotten what was the other question.
No, the question I asked you was, if you reflect back in time, what would you do now that you, from your experience, just for the benefit of people watching this?
Well,
we're trying to inspire people to pick up the baton, perhaps go commercial fishing. Tell them what they need to know from your personal experience.
Well, it's I think, if you're ever even thinking about it, you'd have to be really passionate about fishing, because there's a lot of times where you don't get anything, and you.
Is that right? Because I thought it was just me.
No.
Oh, this is really comforting.
It happens to everybody. But I think if someone was starting off now, and what I should have done too, was go with a really professional fisherman that's a good fisherman, and even offer your services for nothing, and just say, look, I'll come and work with you for 6 months. I want to learn everything properly, because a lot of those situations, those sticky situations I talk about in the book, probably wouldn't have happened if I'd had a lot more experience. But at the time, I didn't have any experience, and I didn't think it was bad. I just thought that's fishing. But now when I look back from this, and maybe because I'm a bit older and I like living a little bit better than I did back then, or appreciate living. But I mean, but now I do look at some of those things, and I thought, well, they probably were mistakes. But I learned from all those mistakes. I never did it again. So, yeah,
Hey,
so,
Greg, you might not like to answer this, but how many pairs of underpants did you used to take with you when you went fishing? Because you would have needed a lot to read this bloody book.
no, it was all pretty all good there. Yeah, no. Like I said, I didn't think it was that dangerous. Like it was just some things that happened, and you just had to put up with it, you know. So
Greg, I mean, this might sound like a stupid question, but in one of these paragraphs here, you talk about dingoes.
yeah,
Just share with the audience about the dingo. I found that quite amazing.
yeah. Well, see, this place where that book's based, where that story is based on, it used to be a really remote place. It's all built out with houses and everything now, you know. But see, people don't realise that dingoes are pretty. They're not just a little animal. See, they bred up with big, like normal dogs,
Yeah.
and there's, the dingoes are still, they're savage, but they've turned into really big dogs. And we've got friends that they can pull cows down and all that stuff. So in that story, it was pretty. It was, I won't spoil the book, but but I mean, yeah, it was a pretty dangerous and pretty scary time for both of us. So yeah, I just think that before we got there too, people used to go and camp there now and then because it was really remote. I think they used to leave food scraps and things like that around, and I think the dingoes used to come looking for it, you know, and that's probably what happened that night when we struck them.
Yeah. So you've got your own YouTube set up for the Aussie Fisherman. How's that going? Tell me how that's going. And what inspired you to do that?
Well, it started where the government was handing out.
You say, and I want to interrupt you halfway through that before you progress. I know a little bit about that. Go on.
Yeah, well, the government was offering a grant for someone to help in different sorts of fishing. It wasn't just crowding; it was probably line fishing and all the other different sorts of fishing. And I put in a submission and to teach people how to handle mud crabs and how to tie them, how to catch them, how to do it safely. I even hired, well, I didn't hire them, but I engaged a mob from Cairns that used to do documentaries, and they even done film stuff for David Attenborough. So it was a really top class thing that they were going to do. They were going to have 2 boats, they were going to have drones, you know, it was really professional. And all I was going to do was charge them for my costs.
Yeah.
I didn't, I'm not loss of income or anything, I didn't put that in it. So I tried to keep the cost down as best I could. And we submitted it, and after a while, I missed out. And I thought, oh, blow this. And I remember, I think you even wrote a reference.
Well, that's what the association that I'm involved in, they gave me plum. But blind Freddie could see there was a community need for this type of education. Nobody does it. That was the same when we were doing the kids for education. That's how our relationship was built. Nobody else does it. Nobody. And you're going to knock me over with a feather when you ring me up and you said your application got declined. I thought, I can't say right now, but without being big down, what my thoughts were. But you were really justified in putting that proposal up. It was negligent on the part of one of the government agencies to not fund the project. Great.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I spoke to a lot of those people in the government departments, and then they loved it.
Yeah,
they said, yours, you know, it's a lay down the sand. So it could have knocked me over with a feather when we didn't get it. But then that's what sort of sparked me into thinking, well, I'll start my own YouTube channel, and I'll do all those things that I was going to do, but in a real amateur way, you know, because I only did it with my phone. First, I did the ones just straight up and down with the phone, and people couldn't watch it on the.
Did you have to stop then?
No. And then I said, well, you've got to put your phone sideways, and that way they can watch it on the big screen. I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And then after a while, I sort of got real adventurous, and I got myself a GoPro. And my daughter came with me a couple of times and filmed, which was good, you know, because you know, I get a bit shy sometimes when I'm talking in that, but when she was with me, I used to be always relaxed. And then I started doing a lot of them with the GoPro myself, and it was really just doing what I do every day, but I'd only do a few films each day because I'm trying to run 70 or 80 crab pots in 6 hours, so I haven't got a lot of market real time up my sleeve. But I mean, it grew so fast because I'll never forget, about 2 weeks after I started, I had 50 people, subscribers, and I think, oh, this is good. And then after about 2 years, I had 32,000, and I thought, wow. And so yeah, it's been going really good. I must admit, I don't make any money out of it, but I haven't got enough watched hours, and I honestly don't know how people get watched hours that many enough to get payment from Google.
So Hollywood hasn't been knocking on the door.
No, I've been waiting, but they just haven't turned up. But I mean, but it's a lot of fun, and I like teaching people stuff. And that's the reason I went to your clinic. It was to teach people stuff, and I get a kick out of doing that, because when I first started fishing, no one would tell me hardly anything. Like, it was all Secret Service job, and that's the reason why I had to learn everything myself. And a lot of the good fishermen that I tried to get information from, they wouldn't tell you anything, and those secrets and their experience and all that died with them. And I thought, that's not going to happen to me. I'm going to try and teach people everything that I've learned over the years, my experiences and mistakes. Well, which I hope they don't follow there.
Half of them inbred.
But I mean, so that was the reason why I started YouTube, and I really get some nice comments in that, and that's what spurs me on. I really like, like I said, I really like helping people, and so that's the reason why I started the YouTube channel.
With your crabbing, I talked to you on the phone about coming down and helping you with torching this, and you said, I've got to go to work about 2 o'clock in the morning in the dark.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know where your crab pots are?
Oh, I don't know. I find it easy.
Each of the mangrove trees, have you got a name for all of them?
No, I can lay back in bed at night and visualise where 70 or 80 pots are, exactly where I've tied them to which tree, and I can even tell you what sort of pots that I've got a few different pots. I mainly use Element Pro crab pots now, which are really good crab pots. They're the best. But I've still got a few of the old favourites. Some of them I just don't want to throw away because they just keep patching the roof and just keep them going. And I can even tell you where they are. So yeah, I have no trouble. Remembering where crab pots is I've probably got a really good memory for that.
When you used to come to our end education programs, you used to talk about rope, how important the ropes are on crab pots.
Yeah.
Can you just share with the audience what that's all about? And then when you finish that, I just want to talk about a personal experience that didn't have one of those ropes that you were talking about.
Yeah, well, there's a rope called a sink rope, and it's environmentally friendly for a change. It's got no minerals or anything like that in it, but once it gets wet, it absorbs the water and it just sinks straight down. And the average most people buy just rope that floats. And what happens when you've got a float and your rope tied to a tree and it goes to your crab pot, if there's any loose rope, it usually floats on the surface.
Yes.
And if the boats are going through, it either tangles around their prop, and it could shoot them out of the boat and might end up in a crocodile's mouth or whatever. Or what happens, they cut the pot off and you lose your crab pot anyway because the propeller cuts it off. And then there's other times where you get it so badly wrapped around the propeller on the outboard, it's nearly impossible to get off unless you get over to the side in the shallow water, hop out of the boat, and you're not really wanting to get out in the boat where we crab, out on the
or
bank.
where I crab, I'll tell you about that after again.
Yeah, but I mean, there was one time I was going along and these two ladies were fishing and they waved me over and I went over and they couldn't move because the prop was full of rope. So they didn't even know how to put it in neutral to try and turn the prop. Well, they didn't know what to do. So I ended up untangling that. But to this, like, I just thought if I hadn't turned up, then probably I was been there for ages, you know, so I think it's a really good thing, and I'd like to see that make it compulsory to have sink rope on all your crab pots.
Well, can I just extend on that? I went up where I live, not far away from the creek, but my favourite crab spots, and I sneaked up a gully, not much wider than this table, in fact. I go up there next to me, made it stop, just like, looked like someone, I picked up the ankle, thrown it over the side and kept them going. And what the hell was this? And then as it turned out, it was a rope around my prop. I put the leg up, and I'm going to tell you, if it had that bloody prop was that far too longer than what my arms would reach to cut it off.
That's what happened with those ladies.
Yeah, and then what I had to do, I was in fairly deep water. Thank goodness I was in an area which was relatively narrow, and I had to get out of the boat, hang one hand on a mangrove tree root, hang on to there and balance off there with the other hand trying to cut the rope off. And as I pulled it off, which it did, and I was really frightened, Greg. I mean, I thought, hello, I ain't gonna, this is the end of me. And when I pulled it off and finally got it off, the arse end of the boat floated away from me, and it was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
And I know exactly where you're coming from, and why it's not compulsory to use those sink ropes is absolutely beyond me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Greg. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask the audience that are watching this, if you've got any questions you want to ask Greg, if you want to talk to him about these ropes, so really, if you're a crabber, a king crabber, just expand on that at the end of this interview, please.
Yeah, well, there's another thing too I'd like to talk with people about is the safety of like the lanyard on your motor back to your kill switch. And a lot of people just tie it on their wrist, but that restricts you. You can't get anywhere like around in the boat because you're there, you know. So what I do, I put an extra length of rope on it and tie it around my ankle. And if you know if I can move around the boat, do my stuff, pull the pots in and tie them and all that. But if I do fall out, the kill switch will stop the motor and I can swim back in, I hop back in. And one day, the reason why I do this is one time I was going along and with the outboard, you know, the handheld outboard, and it hit a snag and that was just under the water and swung the boat to one side. But when I did that, I put my throttle on full throttle, but that's the way it happened. So I was going round and round in circles and it threw me out.
Threw me out of the boat?
Threw me out of the boat into the water, and I had to quick come up to see where the boat was so it didn't run over me, and it missed me, and it went round, and then luckily there was a big mangrove tree where it headed straight for it. So I swam over, and for some reason I usually go back to neutral, but for some reason this time the throttle stayed full on, and the boat was trying to climb over this mangrove, and I had to swim over. And one of my mates said, "Oh, why don't you just swim over to the back and just pull the lanyard and stop it?" I said, "Well, I didn't want to go near the back because I said it might suck my legs in and cut me up, you know." So I had to try it, and that was about 70 when this happened. I had to try and climb over the front of the boat. I rolled in like an old grandpa, and then when I didn't realise that it had upset me that I went down to the back, switched it off, and got things sorted. And then when I went to tie the next crab, I put my foot on the back of it, and then it was going like this. And I thought, oh, that must bloody upset me, you know, but I didn't realise it until I went to tie that crab. Yeah, so, but it's a really good safety thing for people to have like that. And like I said, just put the extra rope on it, and that way you can still do your stuff.
You must have seen a lot of changes in safety in your fishing times.
Well, like, you know, in my early days, there was no such thing as safety. I don't even know any life jackets.
Oh, great.
No gill spark. It was pretty, and things have changed a lot since then.
Good on you, good on you. So where are you going to, what's your next venture?
Well, the next venture would probably be, I'm going to keep on crabbing and chasing the black jewfish till I can't do it or I feel unsafe in the boat or whatever, because I really love doing it. And it's, well, I started, I'm going to tell you a quick short thing about how I started fishing, because see, Mum left my real dad when I was 3-year-old, and she married a fisherman, and so I've been around fishing all my life, and the reason why I got a fishing license was had a bricklaying business, and I had a job to do way out on the end of Hay Point Jetty, where they wanted a room built out of blocks out on there. So every day when I used to drive out there, I'd see all these fish swimming around around the piles.
You throw a line in, like?
No, but it used to kill me, and I thought, stuff this, I want to go fishing for a living. So back then days, I went in the fisheries, and they had a pile this high of applications for fishermen, because they were desperate to get fishermen, because they needed fish for people to eat. Anyway, so I got the license, $2 it cost me, and I had no gear. I had to buy a second-hand boat, and I borrowed nets off a mate of mine, and every time I got a bit of extra money, I'd buy some more gear, and that's what I virtually did all the way through. So yeah, that's how I sort of started with the fishing. But getting back to what you said, my next project will probably be doing another book, because I've got hundreds of those stories. We just sort of picked out. We were going to call it 9 Lives, because because when you read it, you're probably.
I tell you what, after your second life, you either take up golf, be a pro golfer or something.
Actually, Leslie, we've got really good ammo for some more books too, because, like I said, I've got hundreds of stories. But there was one story that happened just when we nearly had this book finalised. Well, it was too late to put it in, and it's pretty. It's I'm so lucky to be alive again, So we've got plenty of ammo for that, and I always wanted to do a book about my early childhood, because we grew up in the bush. When she married the fisherman, but before that we moved into the bush, and we were there was 2 houses, and we were miles from anywhere else. So
hard to conceive that, isn't it?
Yeah,
in today's day and age.
Yeah, we had no electricity, we had no water. Mum grew a lot of the veggies, and we didn't think it was that tough, but when you look back on it now, you think, oh, geez, the average bear now wouldn't like be able to do it. But to us, it was the same as like I said about the fishing. It was that was just natural, So, but what I want to do is definitely do a book with that, and I'll keep on with the YouTube channels as well.
Can I make a comment about your book launch? This is available through Amazon. You are so lucky that you didn't launch this through Booktopia. I'm a great lover of books. I read a book a week, not this, but all about books like that. And they only 7 books. They got out of business. Amazon, when Amazon are out of business, the world's in trouble.
Yeah.
You pick the right book, vehicle to launch your book with Greg. And I really commend it. Really, really, really good. And it hasn't been fiddled with. These are your words, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's all true, and that's what I want. When we were writing it, I didn't want. We did try at one stage to get a ghostwriter to write one of the stories, and when it came back, I thought, that's not me, and so then we decided to do it ourselves. So, and I don't know how many times that we rewrote things when it wasn't 100% that I wanted, and anyway, but it all turned out pretty good, and like I said, without the help of my daughter and my wife, and especially with my daughter, she's more technical minded than us. So
Well done, mate. Well done.
Without her, it would be still on the drawing board.
All right, Greg. Well, thanks very much. And we're going to stay here. Anybody wants to ask any questions, don't ask me. I'm on your place. Ask Greg. How do you agree?
Yeah, I'm extra keen to answer any questions that come along. My daughter's just sent in some ones that have already been asked, and I'll see if I can give them my best shot.
All right, Greg, before we just conclude, what's your favourite memory in your family in relation to your fishing experience?
Well, I'm just lucky that they've supported me all the way through, And a lot of the early days that they used to come with me, like, and help me in the boat. Like my youngest one, when we were beach trawling, when she'd get a bit tired, she'd sleep underneath the nose of the boat. You could hardly see her at the sorting tray. You know, that's how small she was. And then the other two, the oldest one, John, and my daughter, older daughter, they helped me so many times with net fishing and that. And there's a lot of stuff that, you know, especially my wife, she does all the bookkeeping and all the stuff on the computer where I don't even know how to switch the computer on. You know, like
you're not Robinson Crusoe there, mate.
No, but yeah, it's been a really team effort from the family, that's for sure.
All right, well, thanks very much, Greg. We'll get back to our viewers. If they want to ask me some questions. So from what I gather, there's a couple of people who prefer that I prompt you to answer the questions. What's your favourite bait for crab and creek?
Oh, that's a lot.
And I'm sincere about this because I'm going to go fishing tomorrow, and the primary reason I'm going is to get the frames and use crab next week.
Yeah, well, I use mainly mullet heads because they've got a oily stuff that comes out of them, and I think that attracts the crabs. But there's a lot of good baits, and most of them have to be fresh. A lot of people think that they're not going to old smelly bait. That's not right. You know, you've got to have good fresh stuff. Now, reef, people used to say to me, "Oh, reef fish."
Do they eat it?
Of course they are. As long as you don't tie them near the outside of the pot where they can have a free feed from the outside. You know, but if you put it in the middle of the pot, and I find the only ones that
you use keepers. You know?
Yeah, we use bait. Yeah, but have bait boxes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the best thing, like getting back to the best bait, I know some of the ones that are not good bait, and
well, that's what we want. All these people watching this, that's what they want to know.
Yeah, but
well, I don't know about them. I want to know.
Yeah, the reason why some of them are not good bait, they will catch the crabs, but if you want to keep them for a couple of days, they get sick and they'll die, and that's usually wild pig. You know, they get sick, and chicken is another one they get sick, but they'll catch good. If you're going to eat them straight away or the next day, they're all good baits. You know, like fish, mullet, kangaroo's really good bait. Probably my best bait would be those kangaroo, and then
the road kill you're talking about.
Yes, yeah. Or you can buy it from the pet shops and all that, and a lot of times they just sell you the bones with a bit of meat on it, and that's fine. The crabs will go in for them. So yeah, there's quite a few baits, but most of them, as long as it's fresh, and I never keep the bait in the pot any more than 2 days. I usually add a shandy. You know, you might have a mullet one day and you put a bit of rue in, and then the next day just get rid of the whole thing and start again.
So if you catch a crab, you leave it pot there in anticipation that the business made, or do you pick it up with something else?
Well, a lot of fishermen don't agree with me. I shift a lot, but there is times when I'll leave a pot in the same spot, and sometimes you might get 2 or 3 in the pot, and you think, well, I better leave it for another day, and you get nothing, you know. But then there'll be another day, you'll get another couple. But I proved at one spot there, I did something I normally never do. I left it for 5 days in a row, and I was getting 2 and 3, 2 and 3, and then nothing. And I went back the other day, I'll give it about 3 weeks spell, and I got nothing again. So I think I've just about cleaned that little spot completely out. But I mean, I find it's better to move your pot to a different spot each day.
Now, in the environment where you work, obviously you see crocodiles. Do you treat them with a lot of respect, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. And see, the thing that worries me about crocodiles is, like, I hear people say that, oh, they're only getting back to the way they used to be. Well, I don't think that's right.
Well, you were in the old one when you first started. Before they were culling after you were started, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I reckon 40 odd years ago, I used to not see as many as I see now. You know, so I'm not a firm believer on the crab pots not being, you know, like the crocodiles not being as thick as they used to be years ago. But what I find with the the crab pot with the people that are talking about crocodiles and that, they don't realise where I see the crocodiles laying on the bank sunning themselves. I do see people's feet marks on those same banks where they've been casting for bait. You know, and my advice to people is to stay in the boat when you're casting for bait. Don't get out on the banks because there's a chance that the crocodiles will get you.
There's a big sign where I near the boat ramp where I live, there's a sign to beware of crocodiles. All the tourists go down there and look. I was there one day and they said, "Oh, is there crocodiles here?" And I said, "No, don't worry about them, the sharks anymore."
Yeah.
So, you know, like offshore, there must be sharks everywhere at the moment. Like every recreational fisher that I talk to, even today, I was going to go fishing, land on going fishing, chasing some nanny, and we were talking about sharks. Out there where you are, do they give you coverage?
Oh, yeah, not the crab, but I mean,
no, not that. When you're off.
Yeah, when we're chasing dewies and other fish out in the reef and that, they're just, oh well, they're just getting out of hand. Like there's times there we get onto a patch of the big dewies and we can't get them to get them halfway up and they just chewed off. So yeah, they're getting pretty bad.
You remember the old days when I used to catch crabs with hooks?
Yeah.
Did you used to do that?
Oh, I did that right from when I was a kid.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we used to do that all the time, and they banned them. But we were masters of getting them out of the holes with the crab hook.
That's back in the old days when you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I did it. Oh, we did it all my year growing up for years.
In the Northern Territory, they do that. I was up there a couple of years. I went to Kangaroo, but I saw some childhood friends of mine, and a partner went and said, "I'll be out and gone a couple of hours." He went out and bought a dozen crabs. Where the bloody hell did you get them from? With a hook.
Yeah, it was a real art too. You had to know what you're doing, and then you put it down. Especially the mud holes was easy because you just wriggle it around till it would click, and then you just get the hook around the back of them, and then gradually bring it out.
We shouldn't be talking about that because that's very illegal today.
No, but I mean, yeah, we did all that, and that's how I found some of my good crabbing spots for the crab pots. Some of those places where I used to get them out of the holes, I found that they were really good places to put the pot.
Now, what's a real good crabbing day? I mean, bearing in mind you're a commercial crabber, which one did you ever get the camera out and say, "I've got to take a photo of that"? And probably never happen again. Did that happen? Does that happen, Greg?
Oh, well,
does it happen? In the old days, they were getting them by the spud bags. Not anymore, it's not like that anymore.
Oh, there's certain times this year, we've had one of the best years we've had for about 10 years. You know, like it's strange. They are masters at like they get a lot thrown at them. There's a million amateurs and there's not so many professionals anymore, but they cop a hiding, but they just keep coming back. I don't know. Well, they must be really good breeders, that's for sure.
I don't know how it happened because I go fishing up at Seaforth regularly. And I swear to this day that when I went up there, last time I went up there crabbing, there was a crab pot on every mangrove tree.
Yeah, that they do cop a hiding, and that's for sure. But they seem to bounce back.
Yeah.
And what else have we got? What other questions have they written?
Yeah, I know this is a job. When I'm reading this book and you're pulling these nets in and they're getting tangled up, I mean, I said, just like pulling in an anchor that's locked on the ground. How's your back, Greg?
Yeah, I have a bit of trouble with it, but it's something you just got to put up with. But see, what's happened now with the fishing, and it's got a lot more organised where we did everything by hand back those days. Like we pull all the nets in. I used to run 600 metres of net when I was drifting and that was another fishery I used to drift for mackerel, and we did 600 metres of net, and we'd pull it in by hand, or I would, and then one day I saw.
How heavy is that? How heavy is it?
Oh, it's not too bad. And I remember one day I was pulling mine in, and there's this other guy's fishing, and he had a net reel, and he used to wind it in.
Those drums, you're talking about those drums?
Yeah, and I thought, well, I'm going to get myself one of them, so I ended up getting one of those. But before that, it was always done by hand. You know, it was just, like I said, part of fishing.
Going back to your early days when you're down in the bush, you used to go against fish traps or something,
Yeah. That's how I was involved with fishing in the early days when I was a kid. Dad had fish traps, and they were just like 4 foot high wire netting, like chicken mesh, and steaks, and then it would be round in like a semi, like a V shape. And you go the shallow end there and the shallow end there, and then down to a deep, and the fish used to just come down and wait in the end. And when the tide went out, we went out and picked them up and carried them back home.
Did you get many?
We used to get a lot of fish, yeah. They wouldn't work now because I don't think, because they used to be a lot more fish around, and I think now that if you have something like that in the same place for too long, you don't get anything, you know. So we sort of, but I must admit, with those fish traps and that, when I was still net fishing, I used to go to them every now and then because I knew that there was, that, you know, at times there'll be good fishing there.
Yep, catching crabs and looking after them is two different things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about looking after. Post out of the pot into the boat. Take us on a journey of how to maintain them in good condition. And I'll tell you what I do, and I'll probably disappoint myself, but as soon as I get them, I tip them into the esky or tie them up, put them in the esky, get home, they're all. Then I says, make sure they're in the fridge, don't go cooking, rah, rah, rah. So they're all right, pick them up, and now.
Yeah.
Tell me, I don't worry about that. Tell me what I need to know.
I really strongly suggest not do that. You know, like when I catch a mud crab, I tie it up and then I put it in a tub which has already got holes in it.
In the bottom of it.
In the bottom of it. Yeah. And I have hessian bags, and if there's a layer of say 4 or 5 crabs across the bottom, I put a hessian bag over it, and then if there's small crabs, I just keep going till there's about 3 layers. And every half an hour or so, I get a bucket of water, salt, fresh salt water, and throw it over them, and keeps them, you know, moisture in their lungs, and plus it, and you want to keep the sun off them because they don't like that. And that way, you look after them as soon as you catch them, they will last. Well, I can keep them for a week, 5 to 6 days, and when I bring them home, I put them in an air-conditioned room, and I do the same thing. I wash them all first.
Wash them?
Yeah, just with fresh water. And then I put them in the tubs again, a different set of tubs, and with the hessian bags, and I very seldom ever lose one. We send ours to Sydney where we work. I sell them locally now, but we used to send all ours to Sydney, and we had one of the best names for crabs not dying. Some of the places that send from the Northern Territory, they have 30% of the crabs die. And ours, when we got one back, and like when they sent us the invoice back and say, oh, you had one die, we couldn't believe it. Like we had the one.
So you got paid for live crabs, not dead crabs.
Yeah, you don't have to pay, but you still have to pay the dues. You know, so you don't want too many dying.
You have to pay the freight on dead crabs.
But the main thing is to look after them.
That's incredible. I wonder how many people know that. How many people? I'm amazed. I mean, I've been crabbing now, recreational crabbing, 40 years. I've never known that, Greg.
Yeah, well, see, I try and teach all that stuff on my YouTube channel. And if you want to look, I've got over 130 videos, I think, or something on my YouTube channel. And I've stressed a lot of that in different times. And it's mainly how to look after them. You know, like if you look after them, and even for amateurs like yourself, you want to keep them for a couple of days, just put them in a cement tub or something, or, you know, somewhere nice and cool that you can keep them moist.
What about in the fridge? Well, that's no.
No. And that esky thing, oh boy, don't do that. You know, they can't breathe.
You're going to be on your own and keep that up.
They can't breathe. You know, like it's just never do that unless you're going to put holes in the bottom of the esky and have some way that the air can get in there. Don't do it.
Good stuff, Greg. That's pop.
Because what happens too, Lance, a lot of people don't check them and feel them if they're empty, and they like you, they put them in that esky, and usually some of them have got a brine in there, and that kills them anyway. Yeah. And they get them home and.
And my esky's got green cans.
Yeah. Well,
and they're not room temperature, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if you don't look after them. You'll find that most of them, you know, if you look after them, they'll be fine.
This is going to be a touchy subject to talk about, man, because you and I went on a campaign about people stealing bloody crab pots. And we actually, well, not we, you, made it the front page of our local newspaper for every day for a week. And we got on TV with it. And has there been a change of attitude, or is it still a problem? Is it still a problem? Or
No.
Share farming. They call it share farming.
Yeah,
but it's still.
Yeah. No, it's like if I went up to them on payday and took the pay off them, you know, how would they feel? And that's what they used to do to me. And I would have days there, Lance, where I go to pull my crab pot up and the rope would be, you know, nothing on the end of it. They'd cut the pot off and taken it and taken the crabs out and then throw it out into deep water or something. You know, I don't know. I did find a couple of my crab pots out on sandbars way out from wherever. They were nowhere near there. But I remember we set cameras up. We've got some trail cameras. And we set them up and caught a few guys. And I remember you helping me get through with the media because those days the media never used to like the pros that much. So you helped me out there. And I hardly ever get anyone touch my crab pots. I have a special way. I tie each, when I put my hooks over to do my crab pot, you know, after I've done it, I put it in a set spot and I know if someone's, and plus I throw them in exactly where, I've got places where I know exactly where I'll throw in the crab pot. And I know that I've got a fair idea if someone's mucking around with them. But since we had the cameras up, and plus I put signs up, we got signs printed in the areas where I crab, and that the crab pots are under surveillance, and I think that helped a lot too. And plus the fisheries helped us a lot as well. They started clamping down on people robbing crab pots and that, so they caught a few as well. Yeah, so it's not too bad in my area. Well, as far as I can say.
The last question I want to ask you about crabbing is how do you get, when the crab puts his claws on the crab pot itself, the mesh, how do you get the blood things off without, when you shake them like that and the legs come off?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you, or does it just happen to me?
Well, it's happening to you for a simple reason. You're not pulling the pot into the boat properly.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. If you pull the pot up to the edge of the boat and turn it up that it's upside down, right? And don't pull it out, just shake it a little bit and the crabs will crawl down off the funnels and they'll all lay in the bottom. And then when you lift it in the boat, just be gentle and don't shake the hell out of the pot you're talking about. Just put it down nice and gently and open the door up and just let them walk out. You don't have to shake them, they'll walk out themselves. And as they come out, if it's an undersize or if it's a floater and you feel it, chuck it over. If it's a ginny, chuck it over. In Queensland, we're not allowed to keep female or undersized. And then if you get a nice big buck comes out, put your foot on him, feel him. If he's hard, tie him up. And yeah, but the main reason, I nearly cry sometimes on drive past some recreation and he's shaking the hell out of the boat. And all they're doing, all the crabs are doing is just biting each other because you've stirred them up. Yeah. They don't worry about their mates when it comes to shaking them up. They just get stuck into each other. So you've got to be really gentle when you pull the pot in the boat. Make sure you're not turning the pot over in the boat because that's what really starts them. Because when you want to try and get them out, if you turn it upside down in the water and then lift it into the boat, you don't have any of that trouble.
And my very, very last question, and it's happened to me, one latches on your finger, how do you get the bust off? Because what I've done is latched on here, got a knife and put it in these claws like that, try to, so is there can you tickle them or something like that? Has that happened to you or has it just happened to me?
I've been bitten heaps of times, but I'll tell you a story. I had this mate of mine come with me one day, and anyway, he got bitten. He had it on his wrist, and he went smash on the side of the boat. And I flew up and I said, "You idiot!" I said, "There's $3 you just smashed." Because back then I used to get $3 for that. And I said, "You never do that." I said, "When they bite you, you just put your hand down on the bottom of the boat." And I said, "Eventually they'll just crawl away." I said, "Oh." And you wouldn't believe it, about 10 minutes later, one got me. And I had to go through all this rubbish I told him. And I put it down, and you think he would let go. And I say, "See, they don't hurt." You know, like they don't hurt. And I was just lying through my teeth. Anyway, he just went to let it go, and he grabbed me with the other dippers. I had both hands on, both of my hand there. And I said, see, they don't hurt. Anyway, he finally walked away the way I wanted him to. And we went up the pub later on, and he said, oh, it's a tough bastard. He said, he doesn't feel pain. He said, grab on him, he just lets him go.
We're not going to go, I've just wet myself on that experience.
That's a true story.
Thanks very much. All I do is appeal to people to go and get Greg's book. You'll love it.
Yeah, well, is there any more questions?
No.
Okay, well, thanks very much for everyone that's been watching us and listening to our stories, and I hope you buy the book, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. And follow me up on my YouTube channel. It's the Aussie Fisherman, and look forward to seeing you again, and probably when we finish our next book, and with my helpers, who just about said they're going on strike, but if they end up changing their mind, we'll have another one soon. Thank you.